Worried about passing the California Guard Card exam? This video is designed to help you pass the unarmed California Guard exam by providing example test questions and realistic scenarios based on California laws governing security guards, their duties, expectations, and responsibilities. We'll cover powers to arrest and appropriate use of force, which make up the first 4 hours of training required to get your guard card in California. Disclaimer: always refer to the Bureau of Security and Investigative Services, BSIS, and verify local laws to ensure you have the most accurate and up-to-date information. First up, multiple choice questions. Number 1, what is the primary role of a security officer? A, enforce the law. B, protect people and property. C, act like a peace officer. D, arrest lawbreakers. The correct answer is B, protect people and property. Security officers are primarily responsible for protecting specific assets as directed by their employer. Number 2, before an incident occurs, the responsibility of security personnel is to A, detain and punish. B, stay out of sight. C, prevent incidents. D, search and seize. Correct answer, C, prevent incidents. Prevention is the key responsibility, ensuring no offense takes place. 3. It is unlawful for security personnel to A, arrest someone. B, protect property. C, imply they are a peace officer. D, observe and report. Correct answer, C, imply they are a peace officer. Misrepresentation as a peace officer is a crime. 4. What should security personnel do during an emergency on the employer's property when instructed by a peace officer? A, refuse to follow instructions. B, cooperate fully. C, apprehend offenders without delay. D, ignore the officer's instructions. Correct answer, B, cooperate fully. Security personnel must assist peace officers and follow lawful orders. 5. Which is essential for public respect towards security personnel? A, appearance. B, speech. C, attitude. D, all of the above. Correct answer, D, all of the above. Appearance, communication, and professionalism build trust. 6. A private person may arrest another for a public offense if A, it occurred out of their presence. B, it occurred in their presence. C, they suspect the crime was committed. D, they have no evidence. Correct answer, B, it occurred in their presence. A citizen's arrest for misdemeanors requires the offense to occur in the person's presence. 7. What are the 3 factors to consider when making a timely decision as a security officer? A, facts, policy, and employer direction. B, facts, law, and policy. C, laws, personal beliefs, and facts. D, employer opinion, facts, and past experience. Correct answer, B, facts, law, and policy. These 3 factors ensure decisions are reasonable and lawful. 8. Which offense allows a private person's arrest even if it did not occur in their presence? A, trespassing. B, infraction. C, felony. D, misdemeanor. Correct answer, C, felony. A felony arrest can be made if there is reasonable cause to believe the suspect committed the crime. Number 9. When detaining someone under the merchant's privilege rule, you may search which of the following? A, pockets and clothing. B, handbags and shopping bags. C, wallets and personal documents. D, all of the above. Correct answer, B, handbags and shopping bags. Searches are limited to items in the suspect's immediate possession, excluding clothing. 10. When responding to an active shooter, the first priority is to A, hide in a safe place. B. Fight the shooter. C. Run, hide, or fight as appropriate. D. Call your supervisor immediately. Correct answer, C. Run, hide, or fight as appropriate. Following the run, hide, fight protocol maximizes safety during active shooter events. 11. What should a security officer do if they observe two people fighting on property not related to their post? A. Break up the fight immediately. B. Call law enforcement if it can be done without leaving the post. C. Physically restrain the individuals. D. Ignore the situation entirely. Correct answer, B. Call law enforcement if it can be done without leaving the post. The security officer's primary responsibility is to protect their assigned property and observe and report. 12. What is the primary focus of a security officer's report? A. Conclusions about the incident. B. Factual observations. C. Opinions on suspect behavior. D. Recommendations for penalties. Correct answer, B. Factual observations. Reports must be based on observable facts, not opinions or conclusions. 13. When dealing with a non-cooperative subject, a security officer should A. Use verbal de-escalation techniques. B. Restrain the subject immediately. C. Ignore the situation. D. Threaten with legal consequences. Correct answer, A. Use verbal de-escalation techniques. Verbal de-escalation can help resolve conflicts without escalating the situation. 14. Under the merchant's privilege rule, force used to detain a shoplifter must be A. Deadly if necessary. B. Excessive to ensure compliance. C. Reasonable and non-deadly. D. Determined by the supervisor. Correct answer, C. Reasonable and non-deadly. The law permits only reasonable and necessary non-deadly force to prevent escape or protect property. 15. A citizen's arrest for a misdemeanor can be made only if A. The suspect has been convicted previously. B. The offense was witnessed by the arresting person. C. The employer authorizes it. D. The police cannot respond immediately. Correct answer, B. The offense was witnessed by the arresting person. Misdemeanor arrests require the offense to occur in the presence of the arresting individual. 16. When writing a report, which of the following should be included? A. Opinions on the suspect's behavior. B. Exact descriptions of events, people, and times. C. Personal judgments about the incident. D. Exaggerated details to emphasize key points. Correct answer, B. Exact descriptions of events, people, and times. Reports must focus on clear, factual details to ensure accuracy and reliability. 17. If a person refuses to comply with the company inspection, the security officer should A. Physically detain the individual. B. Notify law enforcement immediately. C. Document the refusal and report it to the employer. D. Confiscate the person's belongings. Correct answer, C. Document the refusal and report it to the employer. Physical enforcement is not allowed. The refusal must be properly recorded and reported. 18. Which of the following is an example of excessive force? A. Using handcuffs to restrain a resisting suspect. B. Physically subduing an armed assailant. C. Striking an unarmed suspect attempting to leave. D. Detaining someone using non-deadly force. Correct answer, C. Striking an unarmed suspect attempting to leave. Excessive force is any force that is beyond what is reasonable and necessary. 19. A security officer notices a person loitering near a restricted area. What should they do first? A. Immediately detain the individual. B. Politely engage the person and assess the situation. C. Ignore the person unless they enter the restricted area. D. Physically remove the individual from the area. Correct answer, B. Politely engage the person and assess the situation. Engaging in a calm and a professional manner helps determine the individual's intent. 20. What is the appropriate response when dealing with an emotionally disturbed person? EDP. A. Use force to subdue them. B. Call for law enforcement and use de-escalation techniques. C. Ignore the behavior unless it escalates. D. Physically restrain them to ensure safety. Correct answer, B. Call for law enforcement and use de-escalation techniques. De-escalation minimizes conflict and ensures safety while awaiting professional assistance. Want to review this content on the go? Grab the companion guide linked below from my Beacons or Etsy pages. It's everything from this video made easy to review. Skip the stress of flipping through pages during the test. This guide gets you ready fast so you can pass with confidence. 21. When making a citizen's arrest, what must you inform the suspect of? A. The name of your employer. B. Your intention, cause, and authority to arrest. C. Their Miranda rights. D. That they must wait for law enforcement. Correct answer, B. Your intention, cause, and authority to arrest. Security personnel must clearly inform the individual of their intention to arrest and the legal basis for doing so. 22. What should you do if you find contraband while conducting a lawful frisk for weapons? A. Confiscate the contraband and report it later. B. Leave the contraband and inform the police. C. Use the contraband as leverage to question the individual. D. Ignore the contraband completely. Correct answer, B. Leave the contraband and inform the police. Security personnel must not tamper with evidence and should notify law enforcement immediately. 23. Which of the following is a valid reason for a citizen's arrest? A. The individual violated company policy. B. The individual committed a misdemeanor offense in your presence. C. The individual is suspected of an infraction. D. The individual refuses to identify themselves. Correct answer, B. The individual committed a misdemeanor offense in your presence. Misdemeanor arrests are allowed only when the offense is committed or attempted in the presence of the arresting individual. 24. If a security officer must use force during a citizen's arrest, the force must A. Be equal to the force the suspect is using. B. Be as minimal as possible to safely detain the suspect. C. Be enough to subdue the suspect regardless of necessity. D. Match the expectations of the employer. Correct answer, B. Be as minimal as possible to safely detain the suspect. Reasonable and necessary force is the legal standard, avoiding excessive or unnecessary harm. 25. What should a security officer prioritize when handling a trespassing individual? A. Escorting them off the premises forcefully. B. Attempting to resolve the situation verbally and requesting they leave. C. Calling law enforcement without engaging the individual. D. Detaining the individual immediately. Correct answer, B. Attempting to resolve the situation verbally and requesting they leave. Verbal resolution is the first step, and detainment is necessarily only if the person refuses to leave. 26. When must a security officer notify law enforcement after making a citizen's arrest? A. Within 24 hours of the incident. B. As soon as the arrest is safely made. C. Only if the suspect is uncooperative. D. At the end of the officer's shift. Correct answer, B. As soon as the arrest is safely made. Immediate notification ensures the suspect is transferred to law enforcement custody promptly. 27. Which of the following behaviors should a security officer avoid to maintain professionalism? A. Remaining neutral during conflicts. B. Offering assistance to those in need. C. Using biased language or actions. D. Writing accurate reports. Correct answer, C. Using biased language or actions. Bias undermines professionalism and trust, which are critical in security roles. 28. What is the first step when responding to an active shooter situation? A. Secure the area and call law enforcement. B. Attempt to disarm the shooter. C. Evacuate yourself and others if possible. D. Wait for law enforcement to arrive. Correct answer C. Evacuate yourself and others if possible. Run, hide, fight prioritizes evacuation when it's safe to do so. 29. What is the best way to interact with a person who appears intoxicated and disruptive? A. Use de-escalation techniques and call law enforcement if necessary. B. Confront them directly and demand they leave. C. Ignore the behavior unless it escalates. D. Physically escort them off the premises immediately. Correct answer A. Use de-escalation techniques and call law enforcement if necessary. De-escalation minimizes conflict and law enforcement should be involved if the situation remains unmanageable. 30. What is the key purpose of documenting incidents accurately? A. To support any legal proceedings that may arise. B. To ensure the report is entertaining to read. C. To satisfy the employer's curiosity. D. To meet a minimum word count requirement. Correct answer A. To support any legal proceedings that may arise. Detailed documentation provides a factual account that can be used in investigations or court cases. 31. What is the standard for determining the appropriate use of force? A. The officer's personal judgment. B. Objectively reasonable standard. C. Employer's discretion. D. Proportionality to the crime committed. Correct answer B. Objectively reasonable standard. The objectively reasonable standard ensures that the use of force is based on what a reasonable person would consider necessary in the circumstances. 32. When is a security officer allowed to use force? A. To gain compliance in all situations. B. When it's reasonable and necessary to protect themselves or others. C. Only if the suspect is unarmed. D. When instructed by a supervisor. Correct answer B. When it's reasonable and necessary to protect themselves or others. Force must be both reasonable and necessary, focusing on self-protection or protection of others. 33. Which of the following is an example of excessive force? A. Using handcuffs on a resisting individual. B. Using a baton to subdue an armed attacker. C. Striking an unarmed suspect after they are detained. D. Physically restraining a suspect who is attempting to flee. Correct answer C. Striking an unarmed suspect after they are detained. Once a suspect is under control, any additional force is considered excessive. 34. When using force, security officers must consider A. The intent of the suspect. B. The level of resistance and potential threat. C. Their own emotional state. D. Whether the suspect is armed. Correct answer B. The level of resistance and potential threat. Security personnel must base their response on the level of threat and resistance, not personal feelings. 35. What should a security officer do if a suspect resists arrest? A. Use any force necessary to subdue the individual. B. Use reasonable force to overcome the resistance. C. Immediately disengage and leave the situation. D. Wait for law enforcement to handle it. Correct answer B. Use reasonable force to overcome the resistance. Reasonable force ensures compliance without unnecessary harm. Next up, true-false questions. Number 1. Security personnel are required to make a citizen's arrest when they witness a crime. Answer, false. Security personnel are not obligated to make arrests. Their priority is to observe and report. 2. Security personnel can search a detained individual for any items. False. Searches are limited to weapons or items as specified under certain laws like Penal Code Section 490.5. 3. A security officer can lawfully frisk someone for any items if they are suspected of theft. False. Security officers may frisk only for weapons when there is a reasonable fear of physical danger. 4. A felony must be committed for a security officer to arrest someone. True. A felony must have occurred and reasonable cause must exist for an arrest. 5. Security officers should use excessive force if a suspect resists arrest. False. Only reasonable force may be used, and excessive force is both unlawful and unethical. Need extra help passing your California Guard Card exam? Join r/Guard Guides. Get access to tips, advice, and discussions on powers of arrest, use of force, and more from a community of experienced security professionals. Together, we'll help you succeed. 6. Impersonating a peace officer can lead to a fine or jail time. True. Misrepresentation as a peace officer is a criminal offense. 7. Security officers are allowed to issue citations for infractions. False. Citations for infractions are the responsibility of law enforcement officers. 8. Security personnel must prioritize protecting their assigned property over responding to external incidents. True. Security officers are responsible for their designated area and should not abandon their post unless necessary. 9. A security officer should make assumptions about a person's intentions based on their appearance. False. Security personnel must rely on observed facts, not assumptions or biases. 10. A security officer can arrest someone for trespassing even if the suspect agrees to leave. False. Trespassing arrests are valid only if the individual refuses to leave after being asked. 11. Handcuffs can be used if a subject attempts to escape during a citizen's arrest. True. Handcuffs may be used as a reasonable restraint if escape is likely. 12. A frisk may be conducted to find weapons during a citizen's arrest. True. A frisk is permitted to ensure the safety of the security officer and others by checking for weapons. 13. A security officer can detain someone indefinitely under the merchant's privilege rule. False. Detention must be reasonable in time and manner as specified by the law. 14. Security personnel should document the details of every incident, even minor ones. True. Proper documentation ensures accountability and helps in case of future disputes. 15. Verbal communication skills are essential for de-escalating potential conflicts. True. Effective communication helps manage situations without escalating them into violence. 16. Security officers may use deadly force to protect property. False. Deadly force is never justified solely to protect property. 17. A security officer may use force only if it is necessary to overcome resistance or protect others. True. Force must always be necessary and proportional to the situation. 18. Excessive force can result in criminal and civil liabilities for the security officer. True. Using force beyond what is reasonable and necessary exposes security personnel to legal consequences. 19. The use of handcuffs is always considered reasonable force. False. Handcuffs should only be used when necessary to prevent escape or ensure safety. 20. Security officers must prioritize de-escalation before resorting to force. True. De-escalation techniques are essential to minimize the need for physical force. Now, scenarios. 1. You are a security guard at a retail store and a shopper is attempting to leave with an unpaid item. What should you do? The correct response: detain the individual under Penal Code Section 490.5 if you have probable cause and request they surrender the item. The merchant's privilege rule allows detention and limited searches for suspected shoplifting under specific conditions. 2. While patrolling at night, you observe an individual attempting to break into a building. What is your course of action? Correct response: call law enforcement, observe, and report the details. Security personnel should not confront potentially dangerous individuals, but prioritize safety and documentation. 3. While patrolling, you observe a person attempting to climb over the fence of the property you are protecting. Correct response: shout to deter the person or turn on lights to discourage the action. Prevention is the key role of security personnel. Immediate intervention without physical engagement is appropriate in this case. 4. You are stationed at a retail store. A customer accuses another of shoplifting, but you did not observe the incident. Correct response: observe and report the incident, assuring you do not detain without probable cause. Detention requires direct observation of the offense or sufficient evidence. 5. A coworker refuses to cooperate during an end-of-day inspection of their bag as required by the employer. Correct response: document the refusal, record details such as time and appearance, and report to your employer. Inspections must be cooperative. Security personnel cannot physically enforce compliance. 6. You observe someone repeatedly attempting to open car doors in a parking lot. Correct response: notify law enforcement, observe the individual, and report their activities. Suspicious behavior like this should be documented and reported to prevent potential theft. 7. While on patrol, you encounter a group arguing loudly near your assigned post. Correct response: monitor the situation and use de-escalation techniques if needed. Notify law enforcement if it escalates to violence. Security officers should prioritize maintaining a safe environment without unnecessary intervention. 8. A coworker refuses to perform an assigned duty that involves checking for safety hazards. Correct response: document the incident and report it to your supervisor. Security officers must adhere to their employer's policies and escalate issues appropriately. 9. During a busy shift, a customer claims they have been overcharged and demands to see your supervisor. Correct response: remain calm, follow store policy, and direct them to the appropriate person. Maintaining professionalism and adhering to company protocols is key in such situations. 10. You notice a small fire starting in a trash can near your post. Correct response: follow fire emergency procedures. Use a fire extinguisher if safe to do so and alert authorities. Security personnel should act swiftly to mitigate hazards and ensure safety. 11. During your shift, a customer becomes irate and begins yelling at employees. Correct response: approach the customer calmly, use de-escalation techniques, and notify the supervisor if necessary. Managing the situation calmly prevents escalation while ensuring support from higher authority. 12. You observe an individual tailgating behind an employee to gain access to a restricted area. Correct response: politely stop the individual, verify their identity, and follow access control protocols. Unauthorized access must be addressed immediately to protect the security of the premises. 13. A fellow security officer asks you to falsify a report to protect them from disciplinary action. Correct response: refuse. Document the request and report it to the appropriate authority. Integrity and adherence to ethical standards are crucial for security personnel. 14. While patrolling, you hear loud noises from an area that should be unoccupied. Correct response: investigate cautiously from a safe distance, document observations, and notify law enforcement if necessary. Prioritizing safety while gathering information ensures appropriate action is taken. 15. A supervisor instructs you to take actions that conflict with the law. Correct response: refuse the unlawful order. Document the situation and report it to higher authorities. Security officers must comply with the law and report any instructions that compromise legal or ethical standards. 16. While patrolling a retail store, you observe a shoplifter attempting to flee with merchandise. Correct response: verbally instruct the individual to stop. If they resist, use reasonable force to detain them while waiting for law enforcement. The merchant's privilege rule allows for the use of reasonable, non-deadly force to detain a suspect. 17. A suspect resists arrest and attempts to strike you with a weapon. Correct response: use reasonable force, including defensive techniques, to disarm and subdue the individual until law enforcement arrives. When faced with an imminent threat, a security officer may use force necessary to protect themselves. 18. An unarmed individual refuses to leave private property after being asked multiple times. Correct response: inform them they are under citizen's arrest for trespassing. Use verbal commands first and minimal force only if necessary to prevent them from causing harm or escaping. Trespassing requires minimal force unless the individual becomes a physical threat. 19. During a physical altercation, the suspect stops resisting and lies on the ground. Correct response: cease the use of force immediately and detain the suspect without additional physical engagement. Force should stop as soon as compliance is achieved. 20. While detaining a shoplifter, they claim they are injured due to the force used. Correct response: ensure the individual receives medical attention and document the incident thoroughly, including the reasons for the level of force used. Proper documentation and medical care demonstrate professionalism and accountability. That's it for this video. Like, subscribe, and comment if you want to see a follow-up on the 4 hours for weapons of mass destruction, the second half of the California Guard Card exam. Check out my video on highest paying security guard jobs and how to qualify. Be safe.